Fourths Games is a small third-party developer for TS Classic, and these are the locomotives they have released for the game so far. Today's video is all about a brand new addition to this fleet, in the form of the Midland Railway 200 class 042 tank engine, and as indicated by the title, this video is not intended to be a normal review. Full disclosure, I was given an early review copy of the 200 class free of charge, and for that I thank Mr. Forth, but this video is not sponsored. The Midland Railway 200 class will be released to the public on the 18th of April 2026, and you'll be able to buy this thing from the Fourths Games Ko-fi store, link in the description. Incidentally, when I saw the blurred picture in a Facebook post teasing the new add-on, this was prior to the full announcement, I initially thought it was going to be Gazelle or Shannon, the latter being this little 040 tank that I spotted at the Didcot Railway Centre. I haven't seen Gazelle, but I do know that she's even smaller than Shannon, if you can believe that. Thinking back to the 200 class, she's an intriguing little thing in her own right, and I had never even heard of her prior to learning of her arrival in TS Classic. This is a very obscure class, to the point where I can't find any photographs of them online. Makes me wonder how Mr. Forth discovered these engines in the first place. On the topic of Midland engines, and on a brief personal note, the 200 class kind of reminds me of 158A, the preserved Kirtley designed 240 with outside frames and cranks that I saw at Barrow Hill in April 2025. And now for a brief history of the 200 class, using information sourced from the add-ons manual. These engines were built in 1851 for a company known as the Little North Western Railway, not to be confused with the one on Sodor, or the London and North Western Railway. Only 3 members of the class were built, and they started life as 222 well tanks. That means the water tank was located in a well under the boiler and between the frames. The Little North Western Railway was taken over by the Midland Railway around 1852, and these engines would eventually be renumbered as 200, 201 and 202, having originally been numbers 2, 4 and 12, later numbers 157, 158 and 159 respectively. In the mid-1860s, these locomotives were rebuilt under Matthew Kirtley, now receiving larger driving wheels and a change in wheel arrangement to 042. 11 years later, in 1877, they were rebuilt a second time under Samuel Johnson, who had taken over from Kirtley as the Midland Railway's chief mechanical engineer. The second rebuild involved replacement of the original boiler, which also resulted in different safety valve and dome placements, along with the installation of vacuum brakes. After the second rebuild, the 200 class remained in service for at least another 15 years, being withdrawn between 1892 and 1896. Unfortunately, none of them survived into preservation. As for what's included in the add-on from Fourths Games, we'll start with the livery selection, which comprises both real and fictional liveries, as was the case with the 7F. In the case of the Midland 200 class, the livery selection is as follows. Midland Railway Red, either lined or unlined, Midland Railway lined green, London, Brighton and South Coast Railway Craven, Somerset and Dorset Prussian Blue, Works Grey, and Liverpool and Manchester Railway Green. The last 4 in that selection are fictional, and it's the same set of liveries across both the Kirtley and Johnson variants. I liked seeing fictional liveries on the 7F, and I wouldn't mind seeing this sort of thing become a staple feature of future add-ons. Just like their real-life counterparts, the Johnson variants of the 200 class are equipped with vacuum brakes in-game, while the earlier Kirtley variants are not. Personally speaking, I prefer the Johnson variant, partly because the vacuum brakes are quite handy in certain circumstances. Of course, if you prefer the Kirtley variant, that's perfectly fine by me. This add-on also includes the Midland Railway Kirtley coaches, which used to be available on Steam Sounds Supreme, but have since been revived and improved with new sounds and updated textures, not to mention 3 fictional liveries, namely Brown, Teak, and Somerset and Dorset Railway Blue, alongside the prototypical Midland Red. As for the specific variants of these coaches that you'll get, they are the Midland 20-foot coach, with first class, third class and third class brake coach variants, Midland 22-foot coach in second class and third class variants, and Midland 24-foot coach only in a second and first class composite variant. There's also a Midland horse box, supplied in early and late variants. Meanwhile, the 200 class includes the same cab walk-around feature that we saw on the 7F. You'll need to press Shift W to move forwards, Shift S for backwards, Shift A to move left, Shift D to move right, Shift Q to lean to the left, Shift E to lean to the right, and Control Shift R to return the camera back to its normal position. As for any other notable features, there's the 3D numbers on the authentic Midland liveries, valve gear that moves when you adjust the reverser, an animated shovel, which you can also see on the 7F, animated lever for the sandbox, animated mechanism for the cylinder cocks, and the functioning reverser lock. If you don't latch the lock into these teeth on the reverser mount, the reverser will gradually creep back towards mid-gear. You can also customize the number on the authentic Kirtley and Johnson variants, albeit with a limit of 3 digits, while on the Johnson variants, you can also change the side rods and control handle type. As for audio on the 200 class, I learned, from reading the manual, that the sound set is a combination of archive recordings that Mr. Forth had permission to use, along with some of his own recordings from a 3-foot gauge German engine and a 11456, the latter being this preserved Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Class 23 saddle tank, which I had the pleasure of seeing at 2 heritage lines during my time in England. Thinking back to the 200 class, here's a demonstration of the sounds on this locomotive. The manual also mentions an ideal fire mass, which is 200 pounds for harder work and around 140 to 160 pounds for more casual running. I should also mention that the working boiler pressure is 120 psi, and the locomotive's water capacity is only 480 gallons, so you'll have to be careful to not use too much water if you try a longer run. I have found that this locomotive is better suited for light shunting or branch line work. Going into this, I knew that the 200 wasn't going to be as fast as, say for instance, the LNER A4 Pacifics, but I was still curious to see just how fast the little tank engine could go. This footage was recorded during a test run from Dumfries to Cummertrees, during which I managed to get the locomotive up to a top speed of 41.7 miles per hour on level track, which is faster than I was expecting. Much like the 7F, I can recommend the Midland Railway 200 class to Steam enthusiasts who are just starting out with TS Classic, since you're effectively getting a combined locomotive and rolling stock pack, meaning that you don't need to buy another add-on just to get some rolling stock if you want to jump straight in and go for a drive. Speaking of which, a sizable number of quick drive consists are included in this add-on, and what you're looking at here is one of those consists. As for any route that could be suitable for the 200 class, the freeware Salisbury Mineral Tramway, another thing you can get from the 4th Games Ko-fi store, comes to mind as a recommendation, since it is set in a similar time period to when the 200s would have existed. Your mileage may vary, but personally, I like to run locomotives on whatever route I feel like using, regardless of whether or not it's realistic or, at the very least, sensible. Famous engines like the LNER A3 or Great Western Castle are all well and good, but at the same time, there's something to be said for the more obscure locomotives that come to TS Classic every now and then. Hopefully this video can encourage potential customers to make an informed choice on whether or not they pick up the Midland Railway 200 class for themselves, and if you've stuck around to the end of the video, you win tickets to a fictional Irish island where someone from The Simpsons goes for a holiday, but she is boastful and has to put up with bad internet. It's the Maggie Braggy Laggy Craggy Island.